So after that fight, you heard Sean O'Malley talk about over-promising and under-delivering. Now, you understand why he took and seized that sphere opportunity, but in retrospect, you think that was the wrong decision to take that fight on one hip?
I think he could have felt better. I think there's better times to take it. Look, most guys would pull out of a fight something like that. It was the biggest gate in UFC history. That is the biggest fight. Sean O'Malley, in my opinion, because of that, is officially the biggest star. But I want to talk about that star because that's where the Suga comes in, and this is what he's doing away with. He took a look at Merab, and he said, you know what? Merab paid a higher price than I did. Merab lives with more discipline than I do. And if I want my belt back and I want what Merab now has, I've got to live that same life. And I will just tell you, I really respect that. Is that going to make for a better or worse? It's going to make for different, and that for me is exciting.
Yeah, I think in terms of longevity for Sean O'Malley, I think his earning potential and abilities, I think he should have taken that fight. He obviously was able to fight. I think he had really great moments. I think if he had a few more of those, I think the fight goes a different direction. But he's being rewarded for it. He's right back here in a title fight without having to fight again and get a win. I think that the UFC rewards people that do hard things. And I think Sean O'Malley, for whatever everyone says about him and his antics before, he does hard things and he does things for the UFC, and I think he's being rewarded.
Yeah, that's well put. I really think he lost much of anything. Now, in terms of the history, there is history now between these two athletes. I got to think there's a lot of value to be extracted on both sides. But for O'Malley, having now felt Merab for 25 minutes, Dino, from a coaching perspective, I would think that's hugely useful.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage to be able to feel him like that and to be able to say, okay, now we know what adjustments we need to make. But then you also have to factor in the fact that he was a bit injured, but that still plays a part. But him knowing Merab's game, him feeling what Merab feels like in the clinch, him being able to deal with him while being injured is going to play a huge part in the way they make adjustments into this fight.
There have been a lot of adjustments made by this Sean O'Malley camp. They have a new facility, the Red Hawk Academy, as we show you some of the numbers from their first encounter, which upon rewatch for a lot of us was closer than maybe we felt it was last September. Chael, if you're trying to pinpoint an X factor for Sean O'Malley in this second iteration, one thing that maybe he really needs to have front of mind, what is it?
10%. He does not have to be a better wrestler than Merab. He just needs to be 10% better than he was last time. I think specifically that's the single legs, and Sean, I don't think should be falling down to single legs. Double's a little different. Merab's got a great one. You might give up some takedowns here or there. Keep scrambling, and scramble 10% faster than you did last time. Cardio alone, if he can go 10% harder in this fight, as long as the same Merab shows up, and I think it will. That was a pretty darn perfect Merab. 10% is all O'Malley needs to win this contest.
And made a lot of O'Malley making these lifestyle changes, right? No cannabis, more family time, fewer distractions. Dino, what do you make of all these changes that Sean O'Malley hopes are going to make him the champion once again?
I was turned off by it because it's changing too much, but I fully believe that he's not really like that. I fully believe that he's more of a family. He's like from Montana. Like he's not from Miami, he's from Montana. So I think it is actually a good thing for him.
I'll tell you where this came from, by the way. It was our own Daniel Cormier. Take the spear. Saturday night, they go back about 10 o'clock p.m. when they're wrapping the belt around Merab. The next morning at 10 a.m., Daniel Cormier shows up to Merab's house in Las Vegas. He's got a camera crew with him. Daniel's knocking on the door. Nobody comes to the door. Daniel's knocking on the door. He thinks, well, maybe I'm at the wrong place. He looks down the street, and sprinting up the street is Merab, who was covered in sweat. He'd been out for a 5-mile run. He sprinted the last 100 yards and then still didn't start the interview with Daniel until he got his bench press in, which he happened to have one of those in his garage. O'Malley actually saw that. And O'Malley said, you know what? That's not what I did 10 hours after I won the championship, and that's not what I would have done 10 hours after I won the championship. O'Malley looked at Merab and said, this guy has more discipline than I do. He is deserving things 24/7, 365 more than I am, and I don't want that to be true.
Yeah.
And that is the genesis for why O'Malley changed his lifestyle.
Right. Discipline is the word, yet everybody's latching on to weed or social media when really it's all rooted in discipline. So that's a very interesting story. All right, let's get to this Red Hawk Academy if we could, right? So new gym in the great state of Arizona for Sean O'Malley and his head coach, Tim Welch. 12,000 square feet of beautiful gym space, and they can prepare with a lot of real fight simulations, music blaring. They got people around the cage watching the whole thing. I know a lot of pro fighters have different opinions as to how O'Malley structures his training camp, Anthony. What do you make of the way O'Malley sort of isolates himself and now has this new facility?
I like the fight simulation part of it. When I was getting ready to fight Ryan Spann, he has a right hand that it was a nightmare for me. It kept me up at night. It was the first thing I thought about when I woke up in the morning. I just couldn't shake it. So Mark Montoya, we have a very similar sparring situation where people are surrounding the cage and yelling and screaming from all sorts of different places. But Mark would simulate my walkout, blare my music through the speakers in the gym, and we'd walk around the outside of the mat. We would talk about the things that were bothering me. Then I'd get inside of the cage, and I'd fight one simulation round with Dustin Jacoby. We'd finish that round. We'd come back out, restart my music, walk all the way back around again, talking about the things that are bothering me. And it truly helped. I thought it was the nerdiest thing in the world when we first started. It was a bit uncomfortable walking around the gym and the team seeing what we're doing. But it really helped. And so then we simulated it, and it was exactly like that in the fight. We walked, we talked, I listened to my music, and it just felt like I've done this before. So it's a newer thing in the last couple years, I think, but it's really helpful.
Hey, Dean, we know you arrived early for your coach's corner, so we don't want that to end up on the cutting room floor. So as you break down this main event matchup, what do you have for us, kid?
For the coach's corner, we doing it? Oh, let's get to the coach's corner. I love it. These are the things, if I was coaching Sean O'Malley, that I would focus on. Movement, literacy. I could have just said reading the movement, but Chael is here and I want to sound smart. But he has to fully understand what Merab is doing on the outside, because Merab is going to linger, he's going to move in and out, he's going to poke at you, and he's going to get you to make a mistake. And that is exactly what he did here when he shot this double leg. If not, he's just going to punch you. Now, we know that Sean is capable of doing good things, because we see here he finally gets his range. He's waiting, and he's understanding what Merab is doing until he can find his spots. Once he finds his spots, he comes up with punches here. And then also, too, he'll get Merab to shoot from just a little bit too far. All you need is a few inches and to keep him off your legs. Next, better answers on the ground. When he gets on the ground, he has to be better than he was in the first time, because in the first fight, he was completely awful, and I don't want to talk about Sean like that, but it was just bad. I know how good of a grappler Sean O'Malley is. He has to do better. He has to be more offensive. He can't let Merab just get on top of him and just have his way with him. Look at here. He can't stay on his knees as well. He's got to find a way to either get back to his feet faster or be more offensive on the ground. And lastly, and this is probably what he has to do first and foremost, kicks up the middle. Kick him in the middle. And he does here. He finds it in the 5th round of that first fight. And now look at that shot. Not only did it have Merab on a run, but it also helps him establish the range. He does a lot of work with that kick up the middle. He goes back to it, and if he can establish the range, he can get to the right hand, and that's really his money shot, and which could really change the course of the fight.
4th straight fight for Juliana Pena as the betting underdog. She's 2-1 in those fights. I know that a lot of us think this betting line is particularly wide, but how live do you think she is?
You just rubbed it right in the eye. I will be there as well. I also don't have to buy a ticket. Come on, it's way too much. They're going to put Juliana in that kind of position. I just think after she comes out and she tells the world, I can do this, I can overcome, talking about the queen, Amanda Nunes, and then she succeeds. I must tell you this, and I think that the line is largely predicated on her last fight. Her fight with Raquel Pennington, I thought was her worst fight. I wasn't positive that she won the fight, but as far as output, I also felt that she was holding back. But I think she's being solely judged. Even on a bad night, she still got victory. She deserves a little more credit for it than this.
Now, I worked with Amanda Nunes. I helped Amanda throughout most of her career. In that second fight between her and Amanda Nunes was getting like 10-8 rounds, but there was no point in that fight where I was comfortable for Amanda. I was like, you always have to watch out from Juliana Pena, because she's never out of the fight. And I think that that's a dangerous position for Kayla Harrison now, because no matter how the fight's going, Juliana always has a shot at winning.
Lionheart, what are your thoughts on Kayla Harrison coming in here? 3 successive weight makes for her. No hugely bad visuals on the scale, but what are your thoughts on her now extending over 5 minutes at 135?
Well, I think 5 rounds of 135 is going to be tough. I think she's going to have to make sure that she gets those first 3 rounds in the bag just to make sure that she can win a decision. I think that she's aggressive enough. She's going to chase a finish, but I think it's wild that she's at 135 pounds. She is a big, strong woman that just manhandles these other girls. It's different. The physicality is different. I don't think that we're going to see her at 135 pounds for very long. I think that's why this path has been so quick for her. I think she has to get this work done quickly.
And it's so positional, right? I mean, she can get her hands, if she can tie you up, if she can push you on the fence, if she can get on top of you. I didn't really think that she overwhelmed Holly Holm the way that a lot of people did, but it was one position. She got to that same position 3 times and was able to hold Holly down. She knew when to transition into mount. She knew when to put the knee right on him, and she was very patient. She was very disciplined. That is what allows her to use her weight, and she's very big for this weight class, to use that weight to her advantage. Lean on the opponent a little bit.
Yeah.
Make them carry it, and that's something she she does very well.
We are going to need a prediction. Perhaps Kayla Harrison, a prohibitive betting favorite, but do you think she reappears as the new bantamweight champion?
No, and you want to know why? Because I asked Juliana Pena the same way that I asked her, are you going to beat Amanda Nunes? She looked me in the eye and she said yes. She told me with that same conviction that she's going to beat Kayla Harrison, and I believe her.
How about that, Dino? What do you got?
I mean, I see a world where that's happening, just not tomorrow night. I think that Kayla Harrison just going to be too much in them first 2 rounds, and it's going to really hurt Juliana Pena.
Listen, I told Chael Sonnen the same thing when I fought John Jones, and I was also wrong. So I think Kayla Harrison is too physical. I think she's too big, and I think that they're both very good at the same thing. I just think that Kayla's a little bit more physical.
All right, main event, fellas. Merab Dvalishvili, about a 2-1 betting favorite or so against Suga Sean O'Malley. And still and new, what are we thinking?
I think we got and new. And now listen, you got to understand what I'm basing this on. In many ways, I know that Merab is better than the night that he won the championship, but I also know that the fanfare is real. And you don't get better friends. You get introduced to a higher level of scumbag, a higher level of leech that comes and latches onto some of these fighters, but it can take them in different directions. I am not admitting I've seen that happen to Merab. I'm just suggesting that between the two, this time it will not happen to O'Malley, and that's going to make him the world champion.
I got to go Merab. I think that he's just going to be a little too much, just up and down, in and out, and just a little too fast.
Yeah, I'm going Merab as well. I think that one guy is focusing on getting better all around. I think the other is focused on closing holes, and I think Merab gets it done.
All right, Chael Sonnen thinks the underdogs are going to be barking this weekend. The other guys a little bit chalky with their picks. It all goes down Saturday night. Here's your schedule. Early prelims on ESPN+, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Coverage at 6. Prelim coverage continues 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, to be followed, of course, by the pay-per-view on ESPN+ at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Post-fight coverage as well with these fellas live on E+. All right, we got to get on out of here. For Chael Sonnen, Dean Thomas, Anthony Lionheart-Smith, and our outstanding crew, John Anik, saying so long from Newark, New Jersey. We'll see you Saturday night from The Rock, live on pay-per-view.